Hey everybody, welcome to the video. In this video, I obviously got a very special guest with me. Former Knoxville Ice Bear player himself, now retired, an SPHL tough guy, of course. Mr. Ryan Devine was kind enough to join me and talk a little Knoxville Ice Bear hockey with me. Say hi to everybody, Ryan.
How to do? uh, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how much Knoxville I spare knowledge I have of the people that are left. I mean, I feel like the whole league is taking a 50% change here in guys that were in the league 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, try to answer what I can, but um, I think I know more guys on Quad City and maybe two guys on Huntsville. Like it's very slim on keeping up on the league. But
Yeah, especially
um,
PHL hockey with the changeover the way it is. I mean, usually people going up and down, whether it's FPHL, ECHL, you know.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know a lot of. I'd say half the guys that I know went back to the Fed.
You're right. I mean, it's always interesting. Every off season's like
I,
always interesting with these teams. I swear.
I
And
actually have a friend who I think is probably one of the best players in the SPHL is thinking about going to the Federal League because just switching things up and uh, better opportunity. I think that's all I can say.
right, right. So
Treatment, I guess.
right. Well, I've heard some things myself about that, but maybe that's for another time. But anyways, we're gonna kind of just dive right into this. For Ice Bears coming off kind of an historic low for their franchise and their fans. First time
Yeah.
missing the playoffs, first time finishing last place. I'm sure that was a giant slice of humble pie for people in Knoxville, players, fans, staff. I mean, everybody involved because I never thought I'd see the day where I would see Knoxville Ice Bears finish last place. Never thought I'd see that.
Yeah. There's huh, there's so much to talk about with just the switch over because only because I was part of it of a lot of hate that the coach there got before and just because we weren't first in the league and that's just the way Knoxville is. If you're not top three, it's a failure, even no matter how many games in. Um, I mean, they've been good for so long, but it's just hard these days with uh, there's so many minor leagues and now the league below went from like 9 teams to now 14. Um, it's hard to find the best talent because so many guys will go down and get more money. But it it's understood that they want a championship every year. I do too. Realistically, it's just not always going to happen, but that's just that's what makes Knoxville fans so great is that you know when you win, it's huge, and when you lose, they let you know. It's all about accountability these days. I can be the first one to tell you that. It's they definitely hold you accountable, but that's why playing there is so great. And sometimes it's tough. Sometimes it's you know it feels like you're playing in the national. It's when it's good, it's good. It's bad, it's bad. But
That's kind of
I
what
think they're heading in the right direction right now. I mean,
Well, and that's
uh,
what I was going to ask you. Like, what is it like to have, even at the SPHL level, that high of expectation set on you to where it's like, basically, we want the cup, we want a top three finish, or, it's not good enough. What's it like playing with
just
that expectation at that SPHL level?
I mean, what was hard was, you heard it from fans. It made when we had some skids in our season and everyone was complaining. this guy sucks. This guy sucks. I want the coach gone. Well, okay. Next season, coach was gone. All the players you didn't want coming back didn't come back, and like you're not just because things aren't working and you want new guys doesn't mean they're out there. You got so many guys accessible to Europe now. It's so hard with the league below getting better that it's just it's hard to like. There's not six teams in the league anymore. It's gonna get bigger, if not more, with the federal league and become what is it? Fed's gonna have 14 teams. What's this? You have 10.
Yeah, yeah, and
It could be a legit feeder for the coast where you see actual cops being happen, not guys going up for a cup of tea.
yeah. I mean,
But
that's what I
the
would
the
always.
coach. So I've heard the coach they got, and a couple of my buddies they're bringing in, like Mitch Atkins, huge locker room presence. Like that guy's one character. I wish like him and Jimmy Soper are absolutely ginormous for the starting of what to build around there. And they've got a huge goalie who apparently I've seen his good numbers. I've never seen the guy play, but um, I think Knoxville having a starting goaltender and two huge locker room dudes that aren't afraid to get in front of the net. Like um, Jimmy got to AHL tryouts just because he's a coachable dude, and coach said run through a brick wall and he'd do it. Like they're getting a guy that fought his way and played tough up to the AHL. Now he's coming back to the SB. He's he's going to be huge. I see Jimmy probably wearing the C. That'd be if they were smart. Jimmy's a definitely a pro's pro. I'll say that.
Well, that's good.
I don't know who else they're bringing in a. They also brought in a two-time national champion from D3. Uh,
Well, I
who
got
else? Who else do you have? I can't
well
think of.
some new faces I got listed is Tyler Williams, Kevin Lessman, and Sebastian Medema.
Lessman was Hobart, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think he's a kid that's got back-to-back national champions. That's bringing championship presence to the locker room. That's huge. Jimmy's been there with Macon. Um, get Jimmy back playing with his brother too. That should be cool. I'm so jealous of that. But
That is cool.
like played with Mitch, played against Mitch. I'd run through a wall for that guy. Um, that's huge that they're getting two leaders like that at least to build around. I think the talent they've brought in, that Medina guy too, played Division 1. That's hard. That's rare to see in the SP these days. Hopefully he stays for the team's sake. But I don't know if any goalies. And they've got a good coach. I've heard from the Wichita Thunder, the assistant coach.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I heard good things about him. I don't know much, but I've heard that the guys will play for him, so that's huge.
Yeah, I haven't heard much about him either, but yes, I've definitely heard positive things about him. So, yeah, like I said, if I was Knoxville, I mean, there's plenty of reasons to be excited. Kind of like what you've already touched on with the addition of Stephen Muddendinger and Mitch Atkins, I think are two huge additions for reasons you already said about Mitch Atkins. He was one of my favorite players to watch on the Ice Flyers. Kid is extremely talented, and I always enjoyed watching him play. And Muddendinger, he needs some polishing, but he has such a big upside. Um, he's a big
6'8", yeah.
yeah, he's definitely a big presence and might even be a little intimidating to look at when you're shooting in on that. But
Yeah, holes are just smaller.
yeah,
I've never seen the guy play, but I've seen I guess following Pensacola's page. I've seen a couple clips,
yeah.
but no, never watched game film on him. But I can't imagine trying to beat a 6'8" goaltender.
No, yeah, he's definitely a beast. When he came to Peoria and I seen him at net, in one of the playoff games, I had glass seats down by the goal to see him, and I was just like, I mean, that's NHL type size. Like the dude's huge. Like, and
That's above NHL size.
yeah, the dude was huge. You don't see too many goaltenders that size at the SPHL level. So yeah, it was definitely a sight to see. And then like what you said, Jimmy and Kyle Soper. I always liked Kyle Soper too. I always thought he was a good defender. And like what you said about Jimmy, coachable guy, has plenty of experience. I kind of want to get your opinion on some of the players they did bring back, like Dawson McKinney and Derek Osick and Davis Kirkendall.
Kirkendall, yeah.
I kind of wanted to get your opinion on those. What you think they bring to the table there in Knoxville?
I think I maybe practiced with Kirkendall when I was in Vermillion for a hot minute. I don't even I didn't watch the SP last year, so it's like it's so hard to keep up on who's who. I saw them in highlights and stuff on online, Instagram and stuff like that, the SP page, but um, I never played with those guys. So those are first returners um, that are the main guys that they went out to get back, and they did. So um, they signed them early for a reason. But I do remember hearing those names a lot in the highlights and stuff. So
Yeah,
with
I
what
like.
they got,
Yeah, Dawson
you've
McKinney.
got pretty much half the team right there.
Yeah,
Um, Hopefully, they just bring some talent up top, some firepower. I don't know what's going on with Jason Price, but uh, he's going to play another year if he can. Who knows?
it seems that way.
Did he play was he last year on
Yeah,
Knoxville?
he did. He played last year with Knoxville. He's most
Yeah,
certainly did.
that's right.
Yeah. So I mean, if I bet if he's offered a contract, he plays too. So I mean, that seems.
Oh, I forgot Rex Mo. Rex Mo's going to the Federal League to play with his brother.
Yeah, and
I
that's
thought
what
that was cool.
I was just about to bring up. Some losses from the Knoxville being Troy Murray and Rex Mo and Roman Kramer, and I did see that Kristen Stead signed up in the
Admirals,
EPL.
Norfolk.
So
Yeah. I
you
messaged him. I was happy for him. He deserves it.
he's
He's been in the SP way too long.
and that's why I think Muddinger. That's why I said that's just such a huge signing to get Muddinger because that Stead is a presence at net there in Knoxville, and it's like I said, it's great that his last name's Stead because it's like steady as she goes with him. Like it's just a reliable name, a comfortable name. I think when you're a Knoxville Ice Bear fan, you see Stead at net. All right, we have a chance, type of thing, no matter what. So,
Yeah, that's true.
but yeah, you played. Now I know you played with Rex Mo, so I was
Yeah.
wondering if you could share your thoughts and opinion on Rex. It's a shame he's not coming back up with the Ice Bears, but like you said, he's playing with his brother down the Fed. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I heard he's getting treated well. um, I mean, if I got a chance to play with my brother and I knew I wasn't going to the NHL, I 100% would. So, um, Rex was one of my favorite teammates, that's for sure. Just an absolute fridge on the ice. The guy wasn't quick, but he was fast. He would beat you in a long, goal line to goal line. But the guy had just skills that could get to the next level. It just didn't work out. He's a tough dude. If he really wanted to, he could be in the coast. But I'd absolutely also be playing with my brother if I got that choice. But yeah, that loses size for sure for Knoxville. But um, yeah, I can't blame him for playing with his brother.
Right. Did you
But again, with losing that size, you still bring in toughness with Jimmy, and just not so much even as a fighter, because it's just the older you get, the less you really want to do it. Um, your hands. It's remarkable. I'm still able to hold a fork. my my grip has gone shot. Hopefully Hopefully, I don't need fingers for this reffing thing. I can just strap on a whistle to my wrist or something.
Well, that's I kind of wanted to talk to you about that. I mean, because like I said, coming into your career, you did develop into one of those tough guy, reliable fighters that obviously had his teammates back and would drop the gloves if you had to. Can you kind of bring us into the mentality you have to be that type of guy that's literally willing to drop the gloves with anybody to protect their teammate, like you did?
Well, so you're kind of asking like preparation wise, like to do that every night, or
Yeah,
like
like if if you're going into a game and you're like, look, I'm gonna have to drop the gloves with this guy tonight. It's gonna happen one way or another. Rather you guys have talked about it in the past, or you just
yeah,
based off other games. You kind of like, do you like hype yourself up, like knowing like, okay, I'm gonna have to drop the gloves tonight. Especially in
yeah,
front of a crowd like that, like crowd going crazy and everything.
yeah. So I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'll tell you from a personal example. Um, this year when Daniel Amesbury from the Federal League signed with Fort Wayne, um, I had already knew that we were playing them one time. So right then and there, I watched a couple of his videos, and I've already seen him fight many times. But I watched a couple of his videos, and right then and there, I started working on a game plan. But coming up to like game day, like I did a couple of podcasts talking about it, and then it came up to game day. He was in morning skate. You know, we played them one game as they were passing through, going to Wichita and Tulsa. But um, they had a lot of guys come down, so he actually ended up being a healthy scratch that night because the only guys that were contracted on coast contracts was Daniel Amesbury and I think it's something like Andrew Moison, their captain. So I understood. He understood. Um, they told him in the most professional way possible that listen, it's coming down to contracted guys, and it's you and our captain. It was his first game back from injury. So like 3 weeks before we played them was when the news was when he signed. So I watched a couple of his videos, but then just I tried playing hockey and just worrying about my own job and not turning pucks over because in the ECHL, it's you could be going like that. So, um, but the day up to it, yeah, obviously I thought about it. It was on my mind, but um, it's hard when you know it's going to happen because pregame nap goes out the window. Your mind just doesn't shut off of just possibilities and scenarios of fights you've had before. And what's crazy is that the same fight never happens twice. So it's like it could go so many different ways. So, um, yeah, no pregame nap, and then I get to the ring, find out he wasn't playing, and I I went for a walk out around the arena and just like shut my eyes. So I was like, I need my eyes to close. I need to rest. I need to reset. Like I'm probably not going to be playing many minutes tonight. And that was the first time where I didn't play in the third period. I just didn't play at all. They didn't even give me a shift. And I was like, it's a 3-2 game. This could be a possible playoff matchup, which it almost was. And I understood, but like, um, yeah, the thinking of going into that, it's like you think about it all the time. Am I going to do the Superman? Am I going to go in righty? Am I going to start southpaw and go righty or go left? Fake lefty, go righty, then switch back. Like there's so many scenarios. Um, I'd say the most I've ever kind of strategized was with Spencer Kennedy, just because I'd never dealt with that hype before. When he came on the scene, I was like, "What am I going to do?" Huh? I just had to go in with no fear and just be calm because I know as a younger kid, I knew he was just going to show that little bit of fear. And once you duck your head, like it's like you see it as soon as you lock eyes. You go, oh, "Okay, I've already got to step over. The fight's over. Like I can see you're scared. Like the hardest part is I would say staying in that mode of I'm the toughest guy. Like I'm tougher than you. I'm gonna beat the crap out of you. Like doesn't always go that way. But as soon as you show the other guy like that you're at all hesitant, their confidence goes up, and you've now almost lost before it even started. So it's keeping that, you know, that mask on of, you know, whoever looks at me the wrong way, like you're gonna, you have to just, it's weird because as soon as the skates come off, it's like that all goes out the window. Like
Well,
back
that's
home.
what I was gonna ask you. Like, was there ever any time where it seemed like it got personal? Like, it's just like, okay, you know what, I really don't like this person because you know you got a job to do, but you know how frustrating, emotional, and this
Yeah.
sport can be. So, has there ever been that person that's really just gotten under your skin where it's like where it almost just throws you off your game where it's like, you know what, dude, it doesn't matter. I just want to punch your teeth in right now.
Well, yeah, obviously personal attacks, and I've obviously dealt with that myself. Um, yeah, it's hard when you start seeing red, when they start getting personal, and it's like, be careful what you say, because you, the first thing you want to do is literally blade to their teeth. Like it's the first thing you think of. I want to, smash this guy's teeth in.
I
But
it takes great discipline, like, and you get that with
it's
experience, right? Like,
yeah, and it's you get smarter the older you get. Obviously, you think, but um, yeah, I mean, until something happens to one of your players, I mean, it's hard to keep that. Like, that's what I was brought into Kansas City to do. And we were winning every game. There wasn't much to be angry about. Living was great. I went from not playing the first like 7 or 8 games and then played like 38 straight. It was awesome. Like, and then to just keep, and no one was really messing with us. Not many teams had fighters. I fought the same guy 3 times out of my total 5 fights. It was hard to keep that like mean streak going when we're on an 18 game win streak, something like that. We almost set the record. I think uh, Kansas City also had the most road wins in a season with, I think the record was 27. I think they got 29 to finish the year, something like that. It was hard. I would say I focused a lot more on playing hockey this year.
yeah.
And I think if I played the way I did in the SP and the Fed, I wouldn't have gotten those 8 points. I'll tell you that. I would have had a lot more suspensions, but
So I mean, can you take us through like what is that like? What you get into that fight, you literally the whole arena's on its feet, and the guy goes down. That adrenaline that you get the crowd going, you skate to the box. What's that adrenaline dump like once you get to the penalty box? Once you know, hey man, I just knocked this guy on his ass. Crowd's going crazy. Teams getting pumped up.
yeah,
What goes
it's
through your mind and
it's
body?
hard to control your emotions and in that moment because I mean, legally, it's the highest of high you can get energy wise. You feel like you're on top of the world. Like that place is buzzing, especially Knoxville home games. The fans are right on top of you, so I could hear everything during those fights. Um, I wish I had more Knoxville. I think that's what made me. I wish I played more hockey and not focus on fighting in Knoxville. Maybe it would have helped us get out of the first round. But um, yeah, I didn't turn it on until playoffs to really where I focus on just hockey. Like me and Clark, he talked about it. It was like, hey, no antics. Leave Piacentini alone. I used to mess with him and like flip his helmet and like push it down in front of his face. Um, it's funny because he's one of those guys that would be like, "Yo, we love it when you give it to fans on the SP page." He was like, "Keep going." Like when I just defend players or like coaches, whatever team I'm on, like I'll tell people they're an idiot. Like it's just can't do that anymore. But
Is that a game plan? Like, say, like a player, like even like you, or like maybe even Hags or something. Is that like a something you do? Like, you almost like pick a name just to screw with them, pretty much, just to get under their skin, just because you can, type of deal. Like what you said with
you're
Tyler.
talking about picking players to pick on?
Yeah, like maybe like between
No,
whip.
coaches would. Clarky was actually good at that. Clarky would be like, there was this kid uh, in the Federal League. He was like, nice, one of the nicest kids in the world. This kid named Ryan Marker. He told him, he was like, if he shoots the puck on net, tell him you're gonna kill him. And I was like, well, he knows I'm not. And like but like, all right, I'll tell him. And I was like, hey, my coach told me to tell you that if you shoot the puck on net again, I'm gonna kill you. So don't do it. And he's like, what? And I was like, just don't shoot on net. So he got the puck and he started coming down, and I like did a bolt, like a head fake at him, and he threw the puck in the corner and got off. Like,
Oh,
but that doesn't really. I mean, I think one time I was told because a buddy I knew threatened one of my teammates and was like, I think his butt end was coming up during faceoff. So he was like, "You do that again, I'm gonna end your career," or something like that. And I had to talk to him. He was like, "Hey, so and so said this," and I was like, "Okay, well, that's not true. Like, the guy. Like, but all right, I'll tell him. Like, if what do you want me to do? Fight him? He's just gonna turtle. Like, it's the policing part of it is a full time job. It's crazy. It's a lot of just talking and saying like, hey, you gonna keep picking on my guys because I don't make me pick on you. Like I had fun and would joke around with Piacentini and just flipping his helmet and you know uh,
yeah,
pretending to hand guys their stick back and just dropping it. I think I did that in Pensacola.
yeah. That's I always love little.
Oh no, I did that in the Federal League. It's just antics like that.
Yeah.
Just um, God, there's one. Oh man, there was a time where Jagger Williamson he shot the puck like a full second after the buzzer, and it went like over the crossbar. And we were playing Roanoke at home, and I just picked him up and like walked him back to the bench, and like because I saw like three guys turn and look, and like we're gonna dart after him, and he just like was deer in the headlights, and I just like covered him, and like nobody came. It was just the policing part is a lot of fun. It's a full time job, but yeah, it's kind of like a what's it called? Multiple personalities to where you have to just shut it off. It takes so much of your time and energy to just have to always be the guy to answer the bell for any of your teammates or anytime somebody gets hit. Like making this decision to keep playing and you know take that guy's number and get him later, or do you go and jump him right now and take one for the team, put the team down possibly? There's so many scenarios to the job that people are just like, oh, you're just a fighter. It's like, no, it's a
Well, I mean,
policing. It's policing for sure. You ask anybody.
did you always like? When did you know? Like okay, this is kind of my niche. Like, okay, I can fight. Like, because I'm sure it's not like you were skating around at like squirts or junior levels. Like, all right, I'm just gonna knock everyone out. I'm pretty sure that's not what you was thinking. But
No,
when
I
did
would say I knew
you
I was going
know?
to be a fighter. Was I had left playing. I was playing Division II club at Westchester University, and there was like a line brawl, and I had two guys, and I like held them apart, and I was like, "Don't fight! Like your team needs you. Like we're gonna go to nationals this year, whatever. Like we won the league last season. We're on pace to do it again." So I didn't get into a fight. I just held the guys apart and did like a Dustin Bufflin thing. And then Christmas break rolls around. I left Westchester to go and play junior hockey out in Minnesota. Um, there was a friend that came and he was like, "Yo," we played like pickup, and he was like, "Yo, you should come play for my team." And I went out there, and they had me playing forward, and I was playing with a 17-year-old and an 18-year-old who are two best players in the league, like top two out of three point getters in the league, and we're up like 7-2. I think I just scored, ironically. And this kid, oh man, what's his name? Can't remember. But we line up next to each other, and he's like, "Hey, do you want one?" And I was like, "Are you sure? Like what?" He's like, "It's 7 to." I was like, "It's 7-2." And he's like, "Yeah, my team wants me to fight." I think I tried asking people to fight, no one would. And then, but at this time, I was maybe I guess 6'4", but I was like maybe 200 pounds. And yeah, I said good luck to the kid, and I think he was maybe like 5'10", but I was scared to death. I like it just instincts kicked in. We grabbed each other. He tagged me a couple times. I think we both hit each other like twice. But then I think I just you can hear the recording. My mom's recording on like the first touchscreen computer back in like 2011, and it looks like a still painting. It's the you just hear Devine, and he goes 11, 12, 13, and then the kid finally fell down, and I'm in the penalty box shaking like, "Hey man, you all right? Yeah, me too. Cool, cool, cool." Like
Oh,
I felt like I had taken something, and my adrenaline was just really high, and yeah, I think it was the second period of my first game playing junior
no.
as a 19-year-old. It just
He's like,
it
hey,
was
maybe I can do this fighting thing a little more often,
yeah,
maybe, you know,
yeah.
and maybe hit the weights, get a little bit bigger, and then, because just like I said, you were a pretty dominant force in the SPHO when it came to that. I mean, you were a great player in your own right, but when it came, to fights, were there players that were just like, hey, dude, no, I'm not fighting you. Like, no. Like anybody that ever turned down fights, not just because like it's not the right time to fight in the game, but just because you feel like they don't want to fight you.
Um, you're asking if guys when I asked how many if they said no,
Yeah, like if they would turn you down
that was
and be like, no, dude.
that was like 99% of the time. Um, there are very few guys that are like, yeah, I'll go. And then you're like, oh, okay. Like, and they're like, next period. And then they're like, oh, let me talk to my coach. And then it's like, oh, they just pulled your leg the whole game. That's a veteran move over there. To where you're in the third period and it's a 2-1 and they go, oh, I can't go. I can't now. We're winning. Like, and I'm like, oh, like you got me. Um, I
uh,
mean, yeah, you saw, I got baited by Spencer Kennedy 2 years ago.
hmm
Whereas he was yelling at me, "Don't even buckle your chin strap, Divine," stuff like that. So I was taping up my wrist, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And then he pulls the shake the gloves and runs away. But it's a coaching move, so it is what it is. But yeah, that's another hard part is where guys tell you, yeah, they'll go. So you are like, all right, like, what am I going to do? And you start thinking about the fighting part and forget to play hockey. And yeah, that'll mess you up for sure. That's a tactic guys will get in other guys' heads. You know, I had assistant coaches um, mention to players like before the game about personal stuff about me. Like I heard it from a buddy on the team that played on Tulsa last year. Well, not Tulsa, but a team that said, "Make sure Divine knows about it." So and so, like whatever, like talked about just personalized stuff. And I was like, "Wow, like that's coming from coaching staff. That's crazy."
yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, you don't just have to be a goal scorer for people to chirp you. Like it's when you're when you can play hockey and add that threat, um, you become part of the game notes. It's hard to just play hockey. I controlled that part better in my career.
well, because I got to imagine that people would try to bait you a lot, just so they
Yeah, that's every game. Yeah. So to answer your question, yes, every game.
yes, every
Yes.
well, yeah, and I figured a good portion would because like what you said, me like it's one thing to ask to go and turn it down, but it's kind of like those natural moments, like somebody after the whistle runs into somebody or runs into the goalie, or like what you said earlier, shoots the puck at the net after the goal horn. So it's kind of like one of those, all right, it's just like you got to do it type of thing because, everybody knows goalies off limits and you don't shoot the puck at the net, when the buzzer goes off. So, is there any instances you can recall, like maybe one of those things happened. Somebody like plowed your goalie, and it didn't even matter. Like you just wanted to get a hold of somebody because somebody plowed your goalie or shot the puck at the net when they weren't supposed to, or something like that.
Um, yeah, I mean it happens all the time, but you got to be smart. Like you can't just drop your gloves because now they're tossing instigators out there like it's candy. Like you'll put your team down. So it's hard. You have to go up to the guy and be like, "Hey, we're going," and he drops his gloves first. Otherwise, you're getting instigator.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I'd say it happens a lot. Um, a couple times this year it happened, but per one specifically, yeah, I would say there's a time just playing against Roanoke. I remember one of my guys just got it. I think he got like a cross check after whistle, and I was just sick and tired of it. And I went in and I felt bad because I think it was Vila on. He was like a skill guy as a defenseman, smaller. I guess he was tough, but he shredded his stuff first, and I didn't know he. I think he had. I think he just had braces done or something. I think he had braces on for some reason, but um, yeah, there's another time where a guy tried telling me his nose was broken, so I just didn't believe him, and I felt bad. I messaged him. I think that night, if not the next day, when I found out, and I was like, "Hey, like, sorry about your teeth," because I found out he wasn't playing, and I think he got cut up pretty bad because of his braces or something. But um, yeah, I was just sick and tired. Like, I'll give guys a second chance until I start to do something because I'll warn them after the first time if I see it. But second time, I'll come in and show a little bit of force, not do anything. And if they whack back, that's your kind of like, well, the ref sees you now. But it was really annoying. The last 2 years, I was watched like a hawk. I feel like I always had a ref on my hip at all times. So um, I would say I was a little bit more wild in the Fed the year before. But it's crazy how much the game has changed, and you're the refs are more worried about like just the player safety in general. Like you saw in Peoria, you saw the ref stepped on a stick, and I
Yeah,
got immediately ejected because they thought I pushed the ref over,
I remember.
and I was like, wait, what? I just got I just got tripped and hit on the ice by Hagman, and I tried getting away from the ref, and he stepped on a stick, and I got ejected, and I was like, what the hell? Like everything is just immediately like, oh, that was divine.
Yeah,
I was just
I was there at.
very frustrating the last couple of years trying to play hockey
Yeah,
and do my job at the same time. But
I remember you reacting immediately to that, like, "Oh no, like, no, 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 I did not push no ref." Like, absolutely.
yeah, no, I was deer in headlights too, and I was like, why?
Yeah.
And then I think that linesman came over and told him, or I think I was talking to the linesman on the bench, and I was like, hey, tell him he stepped on a stick. So I don't know if it was the same ref, but I think yeah, he told him, and I remember I put a nice little dent in Peoria's locker room stall, and then I had to get redressed.
Oh Lord. Well, I'll ask you one more thing about this, then we'll kind of jump back into Knoxville because I just gotta know: is there times where maybe like I said, heat of the moment, you're in a fight, or maybe even lay a bad hit, guy goes down and he's not exactly getting back up. Like, what kind of goes through your mind during that moment? Like, you feel bad for him, like what you kind of answered it, like you reach out to him and be like, "Hey man, I hope you're okay," and that type of thing.
I mean, if I grab a player who I know is a skill guy, but like like when what happened in Roanoke, I didn't know it was. I don't know. I think he hit me back, so I was just like, okay, cool, I can drop my shit because like I was just tired of my guys getting hit. That's just how Roanoke played. They went after the smaller guys, and then I had to do my job, and yeah, I was sick and tired of it. And I felt bad because I was told the next day. But like, if I ever hit a guy like cleanly in a game, no, I don't feel bad. I mean, if they get hurt, I'll ask if I know them. If I know a buddy on the team, I'll be like, "Hey, how's so and so?" But yeah, obviously, if it's dirty, like I I had an accidental knee on knee this year in Kansas City when we were playing Maine, and the guy just did a little shimmy and got me on my heels, and I just tried moving out of the way, and we clipped knees, and yeah, this guy Chacon came in. He's actually on the went to the All Star game. He came in and slashed me, and I was just like, "Do you want one?" He shredded his stuff, and I was like, "Awesome!" But after the period, I knew the head coach. I went because I played with him growing up. I went over to the head coach. I was like, "Hey, you know I didn't mean to knee him, right? Like, is he okay?" He's like, "You're fine." He was like, we all could tell." So I was like, "All right, good." Like, I even went knee to knee on with Procopio 2 years ago, and I was on the bad end of that. I had a MCL grade two sprain, tear, whatever. And as soon as it happened, I was like in so much pain, but I turned around and tried looking at him because I was worried about him too. You hate injuring guys when you don't mean it. Like it's especially if it's dirty too, accidentals. But yeah, you never want to make sure someone's out long term.
Right,
Obviously, the key is if you're skiing as hard as you can to crush a guy, it's obviously to be clean and you want to hurt him, but you don't really want to knock him out of the game.
right, right. So, all right, we'll get back here to Knoxville. So, like I said, going over some of the things we want in Knoxville, the new player additions, players coming and going. As a Knoxville fan, maybe what are some of your expectations for the Knoxville Ice Bears coming up? Do you think they're like a middle of the pack team that can maybe make a playoff push with some of these players if they are coached right and mesh well, or what are
Are
some?
they a how many teams are in the league? 10?
Yep, yep.
10. I say they're a top four team,
Top four.
top four. They've brought in talent. It's all about, who's going to get called up because everybody wants to go, to the who wouldn't want to go to a team who just hired a ECHL assistant coach. Like
Right.
it's not going to be like hard to be like, hey, you want to get to ECHL? Come play for me. Hey, I'll get you there. I just came from there. You want to go to Wichita? Like that's kind of like the what happened with a lot of us that came from Watertown to Knoxville with Clark,
Well, that's
and it
because you
kind of
were
worked out for as long as it
you were a champion
did.
with the
But
Watertown Wolves, weren't you? You raised.
yeah, we brought a good 6 guys with us, and 4 stuck the whole year.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, bringing in a Division 1 guy, if he sticks, uh, back-to-back national champion. Um, I haven't seen one signing yet that I've been like, huh? Like every single signing, I've been like, we'll see if he stays, kind of thing.
Right.
He's bringing in uh, elite guys who have, you know, proven records of playing high places, and he can only get so far on character alone. So you can't play these places unless you have character and will. And I think I don't know exact numbers these guys brought, but um, I see them finishing with home ice advantage in the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a real. Like me, my expectations were about top five. I think basically they could be like what Huntsville Havoc was last year, kind of with some of the players they lost, and people thought they were kind of in a rebuild mode, and ended up going to a final with Rivermen. And they were kind of a middle of the pack team, and it's kind of how I feel about not.
Huntsville was in the finals.
Yeah, Huntsville played the Rivermen in the final and lost.
Did they get swept or was that
No, Huntsville won game one in Huntsville, and then the Rivermen won the last two games to beat Huntsville Havoc
in Peoria?
in Peoria.
Both games. Wow.
Yeah, the Rivermen were the first team to raise the cup after losing game one in the SPHL final.
Wow. I didn't know those statistics.
Yeah, and so it was a great year. Rivermen, it was a historic year. They set a record for best home record. They were 28, 1, and 3 at home. Only one regulation loss at home, and that was by Huntsville Havoc, who beat us in Peoria. So I mean, Huntsville.
Wow.
No,
I
no.
had more wins in Peoria than all the teams combined last year. That's wild. Good for them. That's crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, it was a great year, and a lot of them are coming back. You got Bearsy coming back for Rivermen. You got
Bear,
Jordan Burke,
Traplock, Birds.
Zach Wilkie. So I mean, they got a lot of returners too.
Who's coaching?
Who?
Who's coaching?
Uh, Trudell still. Trudell.
Oh,
He's still gonna. Eric Levine is the assistant bench coach to the Rivermen.
wow.
So yeah, and so Eric has coached the Rivermen on the road, with Trudell not there too.
Yeah, I heard that.
So it's yeah, like I said, it was a wild roller coaster of a year last year. And like I said, not too many people, like Huntsville was a good team, but not too many people picked them for the
Well,
final.
they just got Connor Fries too.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
see how it goes.
And I'm very familiar with him. So, be with at the time he spent in Quad Cities. That's how I familiarized myself with you, with your time in Quad Cities when you came there. And then of course, when you played the brief stint with the Bobcats. I didn't know you played for Macon Mayhem. Actually, I was like, Devine played for Mayhem? Really? I
Yeah, my returning year back to Pensacola, they told me that they had multiple guys coming back from the coast, and Macon was trying to trade for me, so they let me get a fresh start, Macon, and then apparently Quad City. I can tell the story. He's not there anymore, but the old GM there was apparently on the phone with the coach in Quad City, and he said that he tried trading for me weeks ago, but on the phone call, he said the guy fell asleep, and when he tried to call him back, he never answered. I don't know if he was too embarrassed to, you know,
well,
talk about it or
the
go
trade
back to that trade, whatever. But yeah,
it must not
and I ended up going to Quad City, and then COVID happened.
Oh god, yeah. And then, like I said, you came up on my radar. Yeah, like I said, in Quad Cities and Vermilion County. And when you went to Knoxville, I was like, oh, perfect fit. I mean, you couldn't put Ryan Devine on a better team than I think at the time the Knoxville Ice Bears. And I was just like,
Knoxville was a good time.
yeah, and like I said, I kind of always like even in Quad Cities, like I might have jeered you a couple of times, even in Knoxville, but secretly I was always like, "Damn, I wish he was on my team." you know, I think Ryan Devine would look good in a Riverman sweater. I'm
I
just
thought about it. I was supposed to when I ended up going to Vermilion County. I talked to Dion and Hagman about coming out there, and
man,
it almost happened, but I had just more promising from Vermilion County at the time,
yeah.
and that is what it is.
I tell
We
you
can
what,
leave that one there.
yeah, Vermilion County is
We don't need to dig that one up from the grave.
Yeah, that's its own thing. We just pretend that didn't happen, maybe just for a little bit, you know. Just one of those yeah, we don't talk about that.
All right,
But anyways,
Quad City doing a fan skate.
so one more thing, Ryan. I know you kind of alluded to it earlier in this video. So referee official, huh? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Why don't you before we get off here, why don't you fill us in, tell us what you've been doing with training to become an official here.
Uh, Definitely the hardest off ice training I've done going into a season, and I'm not even a player. Going to It was just for the combine, and hardest second day of the combine, hardest day of my life. Um, but most fun weekend I've had in a really long time. I made so many friends from that. Um, I can't believe I can't wait to go next summer. Like I already talked to a couple buddies. I even talked to Spencer Kennedy. And I was like, hey, how many more years you playing? I was like, it's easier the younger you are. I was like, dude, just play as many as you can coast games this year, and then come to the combine next year. They'll be all over you. You're huge. I was like, you used to play defenseman, he said. So I was like, just work on your backward skating. He talked about like the AHL, and I was like, let's focus on the ECHL. Get as many games played. Sure, get in your fights, but it's games played, and that's the first thing that um, USA Hockey told me at the combine, because I had like a level 1 meeting with them, and I was like, hey, what do I got to do to be in the NHL? Who do I talk to? Because they're like, if you want to ask us anything, whatever. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna be blunt, and they're like, oh, have you talked to Al Kimmel? And Al Kimmel's the head honcho of, he was always the one speaking at the combine, and he's a great dude. He was like, oh, Ryan Devine, you're going back to Reading, right? And I was like, no, I'm done. I was like, what do I got to do? Like, I want to be in the NHL. How do I get there? And he's like, all right, well, talk to so and so here, and uh, I'll talk to you later tonight at the. Um, we had like a gathering after like the full day of uh, off ice training, then on ice training, and then multiple scrimmages with also being thrown like after you play like a 30-minute game, running clock, 3 periods, 10 minutes. Each period they switch in 4 new refs. So like I have a badge and it has a green sticker on my name tag. So I had a schedule of 3 games on Friday and played 4 games on Saturday, and refed 3 games on Saturday, refed 2 games on Friday. And
Oh wow.
so, like, after you play a game, you might be refing the first period of the next game. So, you got to go. So a lot of people wore their lower halves for refing and just wore like shoulder pads and our green jersey. But then, um, you would take the green jersey off and then you would switch with the referees before you and you would put on an NHL sweater or NHL sweater, and then you would have a penny with like number 24, which I was. And yeah, there was one time where I had to bring my refing stuff and put it in the on the bench because I was refing the first period of the very next game with no ice cut. So you're literally moving the whole time, making friends, getting fed, first class. It's run by the NHL, so everything's pretty top tier there. Um, and it just ran so smoothly. Um, but yeah, soon as the head honcho found out that I wasn't going back to playing, he's like, "Oh, okay, well, if that's your goal, then um, these are your guys to talk to." So, um, was heavily talking to the USHL guy, and he was like, "All right, well." There's 3 houses in the ODP, which is like the officials development program. One's in Des Moines. Um, I can't remember where the other one is. And those are like USHL, but also NAHL and NA3 and the other leagues. But yeah, because I'm 32 and I want to get to the NHL. Who knew? Apparently, I was a good skater. I was told I was a very explosive skater, and turns out it was. We've been joking about this, that it was my sticks slowing me down this whole time. I,
Oh
I
Lord.
mean, if you saw my points in the ECHL, I could have gotten those points standing in front of the net without a stick. I would have been so much faster too. But um, yeah, I guess I turned it on, but obviously stuck out with a little bit of size and having my resume of finally getting to the ECHL. But there were a lot of refs there that had been refing 8 to 10 years and are itching to get to the USHL. But like I've told people, is crazy being on the side of the politics of all these years of not being a draft pick, not being a Division 1 or even 3 player, uh, no major junior, like um, coming from the Fed and the SB. Yes, I played 1 year in the Coast, and that just helped me put myself above all those players, all those guys that stopped playing maybe Double A. I've been refing for 8 years. It's just like now I'm on the politics of well, he played in the ECHL and he is 6'4", whatever. Like it just I because when we did scrimmages, kind of stood out between playing with a bunch of refs like Mark Dungan. He was kind of impressive. He had some silky mitts. Mark Dungan out there. If you guys see him in the SP this year. Um, it's funny. I ran into him when I was playing for Reading in Norfolk. I just stepped on the ice, got kicked out of the game. But he had to kick me off, and I was like, Mark, don't touch me. And he was like, come on, Divine, like,
Come on.
come on. And when I found out he was going to the combine, I told him he owes me one. So I gave him a couple whacks, and I gave him some hooking. But
Oh,
he'll tell you too. The combine was so much fun. Uh, like it was so much fun that I couldn't really like complain about being tired because I was having so much fun. Like there was like off ice training, um, and then on ice training for an hour and a half, and then I had to play 3 scrimmages that night, which was an hour and a half. Yeah, you're rotating lines and it's running clocks, but it's like you're in your skates for a long time. But
I could.
like I said, I can't wait to go back next year.
I
I'm
don't
trying
know
to
if I
convince guys to come with.
could. Well, I mean, how does that feel? I mean, all that time in those skates, like your feet have to be killing you. Like at some point in time, like I know you play pro hockey, you got ton of ice time, but I mean that's still a lot of ice time.
Yeah, but you're not in your skates more than 2 hours. Like I was in my skates for 1.5. I was in my skates for about 3 hours, and then I had like a 2 hour break, and then I had them on for like another 30 minutes. So
Oh,
it was like, but then like the next day, it was like playing 3 games. So it was like a lot of sitting around actually, but just being in your skates. I took my skates off like once for lunch, and then uh, I didn't have to put. I think I got like luckily I had a break, but we were using the hair dryers from the hotel rooms. We had them in the hallway drying our skates if we had a long enough break. Um, but yeah, they man, I'm trying to like recruit hard to bring guys to the combine next year just to get some friends there. It'd be so much fun.
uh,
We even went out one night. Like it's a perfect spot right around the rink downtown Buffalo. It's beautiful weather too. It's late August,
yeah. Well, dude,
but
I wish you nothing but the best of luck for that. I think that's like really awesome. Now, Are you going for the stripes or like a linesman?
yeah. So well, I completely went off track, but we were talking about I'll be living in Chicago in one of their ODP houses, and they're starting me off in the USHL and giving me AHL games. I don't know how many, but um, it's all about reps. So like, hey, don't think about doing juniors as like a bad thing. It's like you're going to be in Chicago. Everything's going to be like an hour away tops. It's all about reps. So um, that's what you need to get to where you want. Um, it helps, going out there not with a whole family and being at my age. Um, but yeah, the next 3 years are going to be a grind. And if I'm not in the NHL by then, it's just probably not going to happen. But I got a lot of positive feedback from the combine. So, um, you've always been told you've heard it, coaches promise the world to people. Um, and you're told, oh, never listen to that guy, but um, I've got nothing but good thoughts and vibes moving to Chicago in 2 weeks and living in a house with 4 other referees doing the same thing I'm doing. So,
Awesome. I
um,
think if anybody can do it, definitely you. I really do. I think that would be awesome to see Divine officiate in the NHL. I mean,
yeah, again, that's like they told me the AHL is the goal.
mm,
The NHL is the lottery. Don't even think about it. Just get to the AHL,
right.
and then that's next.
Yeah. Oh man, I wish you nothing but the best. I really do. I think that's a really cool thing you're doing. I think that's awesome. You're going to become an official. I think we're
Yeah.
going to go ahead and wrap up. We've been talking for about an hour, but um,
Jesus.
is there anything you want to end on? Anything you want to tell anybody before we wrap up here?
I think I'm gonna tell anybody.
Yeah. Any shout
uh,
outs and anything?
no, yeah, I'm excited to actually keep up on the X Bears this year. Um, I'm excited for Jimmy to play with his brother. I'm excited they got a coach in there who I think was just a really good fit for the Bears. But yeah, I'm happy for the Bears that they're moving in the right direction. But um, Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens in the league this year. I mean, I know we're ending things, but Pensacola had a huge shakeup. Obviously, two of the Knoxville signings, but um, I heard they had huge turnover, so I don't know where all of those guys are going. But I saw a couple are coming back.
Right.
But yeah, who do you think's going to win it? Peoria?
I honestly think Peoria has a damn good shot at going back to back. I'm waiting to see who's going to start at goal, but with the core they're bringing back, it's kind of hard to deny them. 2 and 3 years. A few of the guys have got 2 championships. I mean, you got Ernst with 2. You got Cahill coming back, and Braden Barker's he's a good kid. I don't know if you know Braden Barker, but he's definitely one
Not
to
really.
watch. Um,
What about we didn't talk about uh Dave Chesney
oh
going to Macon.
man, there's like
There's so many. God, it's all coming back now. All these signings, I forgot.
there's a I could talk about a million things. I could talk about Shezzy getting fired. The
I think it was just time. It's been so many years.
yeah,
You can only be somewhere so long in the minors,
that
and
was
if you're
one
not
year.
winning championships,
Yeah, that was 1 year
it's
overdue. When he missed the playoffs, when they missed the playoffs altogether, he should have been fired after that, pretty much. Especially with the rosters he had, because I may be a Rivermen fan, but I'm not blind or dumb. And Storm have had some damn good teams. I mean, they've had a lot of
yeah,
talent come through their way, and they just always fall short when it comes to the playoffs.
playoffs. Yeah, it is what it is. I thought Chesney was a good coach. He was one of my more favorite coaches, but yeah, it's a shame they couldn't just pull through at the end. But would they get to the semis? That
Um,
was their best.
They last year they got eliminated in the first round by the Dogs, and then the Dogs were eliminated by Havoc. So
Yeah, that was surprising.
yeah,
Didn't expect that.
yeah, and that's what a lot of people thought Dogs.
Without Procopio too.
Yeah, a lot of people thought Dogs would beat Havoc, and it would be a rematch between Rivermen and Dogs, and then Havoc ended up
Yeah.
upsetting the Dogs in Roanoke and winning that final game to make the finals. And yeah, Rivermen lost that game 1 in Huntsville, but they had a huge, huge win. They scored like 6 or 7 goals in game 1 in Peoria, and then won like 4-1 in game 3. So the Rivermen were just hard to beat in Peoria. They were just, that's what I kept saying, even though Huntsville won game 1. Like, I had people literally laughing at me because I was like, yeah, I'm not nervous. Rivermen's home record speaks for itself.
Yeah,
They can definitely
I
win.
didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's wild.
yeah. So it's just, yeah, it was a magical season, man. I'm not gonna lie. It's a dream season if you're a fan to see Hags retire, winning a championship too. I mean, it's
For the second time.
yeah,
Retiring for the second time.
yeah.
Yeah, he came back and he didn't lose a step. He tore it up.
He could still play. He could still play if he
Yeah.
wanted to. But I respect his decision, and I like. We named Alec Bear. He's going to be the new captain of the Rivermen.
Yeah, that's a good decision.
Yeah, so I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited to see. I got my tabs on Ice Bears. I got my tabs on so many teams. Macon, they're doing new things in Macon. Pensacola Ice Flyers basically gutted their team. So I'd like to.
Anything with Evansville?
Evansville hasn't really made a whole lot of moves.
I saw they made Hobbs the captain, right?
Yeah, that's their big thing is
Yeah,
that
I
was
saw that was their big news, and it was like,
they held a
couldn't
press
this? People were like, couldn't this been an email?
yeah, they held a 2-minute press conference announcing him captain.
No way.
Yeah,
There was a press conference for that.
yeah, they did, and that's why a lot of people were
Yeah.
making fun of it because they're like, you really held a press conference to announce Hobbs as captain, and but I think they were trying to show off because they got a new jersey too. So I think
Ah,
they were also trying to show off, the new jerseys with the C and Hobbs in it, and
wasn't their jersey and Havoc's jersey a little rough? I can't remember.
yeah, it's
I
not.
feel like Havoc's kind of looked like Evansville's from last year.
Havoc. It literally just says Havoc diagonally across like a red sweater or a white sweater.
Well, it's just hard to compete with the sweaters they had like the last couple of years. They were dynamite. I think they had uniforms of the year, especially with the wolf head.
Yeah. Well, and the bolts are kind of patterned out of that 80s US Miracle team, except instead of USA it just says bolts. But to me it kind of missed the mark in my opinion, but people are
Yeah, I
saying
thought so
I'm
too.
a hater or whatever, but
Ah,
to me
you can't have the best jerseys in the league every year.
yeah.
All
I
right,
thought, I thought the
whatever.
Bulls have had some damn good jerseys, and that's why I'm saying like you guys have had way better jerseys than that. Like I don't even. To me, it's like they just didn't even care. It's like just give us, base model. We'll just bolts or
Guess what? They're still going to sell.
exactly. They're still gonna sell
Yeah.
definitely. So, but anyways, Ryan, we'll go
Yeah.
ahead and wrap this up.
Let's wrap up again.
Yes, let's wrap up again. I gotta have you back because I gotta talk more hockey with you. So check back in with me, especially to see how Knoxville's doing. Talk more Knoxville hockey as the season goes on. So
Yeah, I'll definitely be watching it on them.
so all right. I always keep it Rivermen style. So this is me signing off. Thank you, Ryan, for joining me.
Yeah.
And I'll catch you all in the next video. Thank you.